morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you for joining me again for another live Q&A session here today. A little redundant, but you get it. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Angela. I'm a full-time voiceover artist and audiobook narrator. And my channel here is dedicated to those of you just getting started out in this wonderful world of voiceover and audiobook narration. And through my channel, I share with you some tips and tricks and techniques that I use every day in my own voiceover business. And I answer your questions in these weekly live Q&A sessions, just to share with you what I know and to hopefully help you move forward in your own journey. If you're not new here, you know that every week we have a new poll, and Frog has already made an appearance. And this week the poll is, we're talking about online training today. I've heard and seen a lot of things over the last couple weeks regarding different forms of online training, even in-person training, but mainly online training, on whether it's a good deal or not, or whether it's something you should be suspicious of. So I wanted to see what you guys thought about what you see. I mean, we all have seen the social media posts where, hey, you want to make $300 an hour? Do you have a great voice? You could be an audiobook narrator. Well, we all know that it takes a little bit more than just picking up your phone and recording into it, right? We know that. But with other things that you see, how do you feel about these online training programs when you see them? Are you maybe a little bit apprehensive about them? But when you're choosing an online training program, and that means you've seen a lot of them and you're whittling down your choices into what am I going to choose to spend my hard-earned money on? I am confident in my choices. I'm just hoping for the best, meaning you're not really sure. I'm kind of limited in character space in these responses, but you're not really sure, but you're hoping for the best. I am not confident at all, or other. And if you chose other, please share what you feel about these online training in the chat, because that is what I like most, I think, about these weekly sessions is not only to answer your questions as best as I can, but also to kind of get a pulse on what everybody else is thinking, because this is about community, I think, mostly, and kind of sharing what we find and sharing how we feel and connecting with one another, right? So please share how you feel about these online training courses you see or programs. So far, we have 22 votes, and it looks like the majority of you are confident in your choices, and that's great. That's great, because it is something to consider, give really hard consideration to, especially in the beginning when we don't have a whole lot of capital to spend to invest in ourselves. And we have to be very smart about where we allocate funds, right? And just to reiterate, anything that you spend on, building your business and furthering, bettering yourself in this industry is an investment. So, it's important to decide, but it looks like 55% of you said you're confident. So that's good. We did just get a vote about I am not confident at all. And that's a little bit concerning. I think ultimately what it comes down to, in my opinion, is that there are, as we know, there are a lot of people out there. And I am a big proponent for, running your business the way you want to. And that is the beauty of running your own business, is that you choose how you want to run it. And in that respect, there's a lot of business owners out there, coaches, trainers, that choose to run their business in a certain way. So we can't really fault them for running their business that way, because that is, the option that we all have. But when you're comparing different training programs or courses online available to you, you have to ask yourself a few questions, right? I think the first one that comes to mind for me is when I'm choosing a training program, does this sound too good to be true? Because we all know at this point, even if you're just starting out, I think you realize that this is not something, voiceover audiobook narration, this is not something that you can just pick up a mic and do within a few hours, right? It takes a little bit of training. It takes a little bit of learning. It takes a whole lot more than just picking up your phone and recording an audiobook, right? We all know that at this point, it's a marathon. It takes a lot of time to get to where you need to be. And not only the performance aspect, but audio quality and, a multitude of other factors. Does it sound too good to be true? Are they promising you that you're going to take a course and then you're going to be, off and running, or, whatever they verbiage they use, you know? What are they offering you? Does it sound too good to be true? And then another question to ask yourself, is this worth the money to me? Truly, honestly. If it's a lot of money, it's a heck of an investment. And we've worked really hard for the money that we have, right? Is it worth it to you? Is it going to benefit you and your business ultimately? Will you have ongoing support, right, after you spend this money? Is there a Facebook group or a Discord or something that I can utilize if I have further questions? If it's a course, can I view these videos at any time, right? And I think the other thing that I would ask myself is, how do I feel about this person? Like I guess intuition, but how do you feel about this person? Do you feel that they're trustworthy? Do you feel that you could learn something from them? Can you be candid with them? Can you be open and honest? Do you have live one-on-one support with them at some point? Right? I think these are all of the things that I think about when I see online training courses. So I think ultimately that's really what it comes down to, right? Credibility also is another one to consider. Have they had success before? Do you know anybody else? Can you reach out in one of your Facebook groups, or, we're all in Facebook groups for this industry, right? Reach out and say, hey, has anybody worked with this person or taken this program before? What are your experiences, right? Do a little research on this person. I do on everybody, don't you? But, look them up and see what they've done. See if they're they're actually who they say they are. It's unfortunate that we have to do that, but that is the reality of today, right? But if you have any other tips or suggestions in what to do before you choose an online training course, program, whatever it is, then please put it in the comments and we'll talk about it today. But it looks like 29 votes, and looks like still the majority of you are pretty confident in your choices. But the next one is, I'm just hoping for the best. Yeah, because we can't really truly know for sure until we're there and experiencing it, right? Yeah, I feel that. I've been there myself a couple times. But let's hop over to the comments and see who is here. Kevin Harvey. Morning, Angela. Got coffee? We be ready. Good. I got my coffee too. If you have your coffee, cheers. Gotta have it. Gotta have it. And then next in is Ross Nelson. Good morning, Ross. Great morning to Angela. Good morning to you. Great morning to you, Ross. Hope you're having an awesome week so far. So far, so good. So far, so good. Cindy is here. Hi, Cindy. When I choose online trainings, I either get recommendations first or at least check BBB ratings. I also take full advantage of trial periods. I mark my calendar to cancel if I don't like them. Those are great tips also. I can't think of any off the top of my head that have trial periods. But if they do, then it's definitely something to keep in mind, and mark your calendar for when the trial ends, so you're not automatically charged for a renewal or something like that. Absolutely. Joya says, other, because I researched the program and instructor before committing. I recently bought a program from a top-rated instructor, and the program was garbage, so it's hard to predict the outcome. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. And I think, and I have to ask, though, is it because of the presentation of the information itself? Or was it that it was, and I hate to say misleading, but did it promise you something that you didn't feel that you received, or was it the presentation that was didn't work for you? I'm trying to be nice because these are my fellow colleagues, right? And again, everybody has the option to run their business the way they want to, and not everybody is going to not everybody can accept information the same way or prefer to work with information the same way. For example, some people like to meet in group settings to learn stuff, right? Some people prefer to work one-on-one with someone. We all learn in a different way, right? So I guess that really goes into the research, right? Before you commit to a program, is to make sure that they offer a format that is ideal for you and your learning style, I suppose. And if they are credible and all of those things. It is hard to predict the ultimate outcome, though. Stu says, morning, Angela. Happy Taco or Tequila Tuesday. I like that better. Quick question. Waves is having a plug-in sale, buy two, get two free. They have those often. They do. Waves has BOGOs all the time. Besides NS1, what other Waves plugins do you use or recommend? Besides NS1, Clarity VX is a good one. And I also just want to throw in a side note because you brought up the topic. Don't use effects unless you absolutely need them, right? The most important thing you can do for your audio quality is not plugins. It is treating your space. First and foremost, treat your space. Eliminate the need for plugins. Some may be necessary because if you narrate audiobooks, as you know, we need to get to a certain noise floor. And if you have something in your studio, outside of your studio, that causes that low hum, that creates just a noise floor that you just cannot remedy up front, then you would need a noise reducer. But go light on it. Don't go heavy on noise reducers because they tend to make your voice, they just completely destroy the frequencies, the low end of your voice. Makes you sound tinny or hollow, right? So my point is use plugins sparingly or not at all. Don't add something if you don't need it, right? But NS1 is great. Clarity VX is good if we're talking about noise reducers. But I would have to say that the best plugins that I have, in my personal opinion, are the ones from Isotope. And namely, the mouth declick is one that I absolutely love. Not the declick, but the mouth declick. That one reduces, not completely removes, but reduces the sound of mouth noise, which we humans tend to have, right? That's a little bit distracting sometimes. I'm trying to think. They may have added a handful of new ones that I'm just not familiar with. But if you're looking for a great equalizer compressor, I mean, depending on if your DAW doesn't have one, the CLA Vocals was a good one that I used for a while. Trying to think of some other ones. I don't really use a whole lot from Waves, just a couple, just those few that I've used. Grant. Hi, Grant. Good morning, Angela and all. 15-minute checkpoint just approved on second book in a series. Congratulations. Negotiating 2 more books with a second author. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed for you, buddy. Actually, we don't need to cross no fingers. You got this, right? You got this. Mindset. You got this. Joya Tustu says, Waves Clarity VX is awesome, but it depends on your DAW and recording space as to what you need. I love my OVOX, but it's a unique selling point. Yes, do not apply plugins if you don't need them. And if you need them, try sparingly first. You don't want to go too heavy on any plugin. Miss World Traveler says, I prefer recommendations or those I have found and have gotten to know, and also the ones in those categories who are reasonable in cost. Yes, you can, I don't want to say you can tell a lot by their cost, but I mean, the perceived value has to make sense for you in relation to the actual cost, right? And that's up to you. And if you look at that price tag and all of what is included within that price tag, it has to make sense for you, right? And then also I have to feel like I can trust or, you know, feel good about who I'm working with. And if there's support, I think, to be had afterward is good for me, right? In case I have questions or need clarification on something, you know. Mark says, good morning, Angela. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I am. Got air in my lungs and I woke up this morning. It's a beautiful day. It's not going to be super hot. Just happy to be here. Miss World Traveler says, Joya, I don't know you, but hello. My name is T. What DAW do you prefer? Charles says, good morning. The few classes I took had information that I was able to find elsewhere for free. Are there any acting or technique courses that are worth the money in your opinion? You brought up a great point that there's a lot of voice actors, audiobook narrators on social media giving away a lot of information for free. You know, here on YouTube, over on TikTok, there's a huge number of them that are sharing information. But I think, again, even with those, with everybody that you see, you have to ask yourself, are they being transparent? You know, are they being open and honest? Are they just trying to pitch their stuff? You know, is everything they say a sales pitch? Is what they're pitching a value to me? You know, there's so many questions to ask when you see these things. But when people are, I feel, being open, honest, transparent, and just trying to help, I think that is those are the people you want to follow. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of them giving away information for free because they genuinely just want to help, right? But as far as what there's a lot of courses that I would like to take. I mean, as some of you may know, I prefer to record a lot of long form narration. That's kind of my wheelhouse, meaning e-learning course, you know, like online course training, voiceovers, PowerPoints, audiobooks, of course. The long form training or long form narration is where I live. So I would like to work with Anne Ganguza. There's a few that I would like to work with, but I guess my point is that it comes down to what sort of niche you're looking for, and then to search out someone who offers training in that niche, if that is something like specifically that you want to work on. For general voiceover, performance, audio quality, business, you know, setting up your business, all of the other aspects that sort of go along with this business. I only know of one that I have personally worked with, I've actually coached for, and that's Anthony Pica's Elite Academy. There's a good mix of information there. But I think most of us want to go with, you know, something specific, like a niche kind of a direction, right? I just had another thought. It came, it said hi, and then it ran away. Anywho, I'm going to move on. Maybe it'll come back to me. But again, it's all subjective. It's really up to you and what you find value in and what you're looking for, and if it makes sense. And if you can, you know, if who you're going to be working with is trustworthy. Annie Waybright. Hi, Annie. How you doing? Good morning. Rustic Hillbilly. Morning. Let me guess. It's raining in Oregon. Joya says to Miss World Traveler, I have 4 WavePad. Sucks. Audacity, okay for beginners. Audition, okay. Reaper is my baby and cuts my editing time down the most. Best $60 I've spent. Yeah, your DAW is something that is also another very important aspect to this business. And whichever one you choose, again, it's up to you how you want to decide which one to use. I mean, Audacity is free to use and download. And then you have DAWs like Reaper, where it's a one-time fee, or you have DAWs like Adobe Audition, where it's a monthly subscription, right? So whichever one makes more sense for you, and they all have different features and functions. A lot of them that are similar, and all of the basic stuff that we need to do what we need to do. But again, it's just really preference on which one that you want to work with. I personally worked with Adobe Audition, loved it, used it for years. But it's really something that you need to decide on. And I think most of them do have trials, free trials. You can kind of download them, play with them, and see which one sort of speaks to you. Oh, you got a super chat. Hold on. Sean Lester 007. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate you. If you must choose between taking a course or joining an online VO community, which do you believe is the better value? Again, I don't want anybody to think that I'm playing favorites, or I don't want to spread any hate, or I don't know why I didn't think this question would come up. But I would have to say, I mean, apart from mine, of course, there are a lot of communities that are either free or low in cost to join and learn from. And I think for me, I like the community aspect most. I mean, it's important to have time with someone that you want to learn from, one-on-one perhaps, to get their undivided attention and to getting down to the nitty-gritty, so to speak, of what it is that you're trying to accomplish. But I think having a community is very important, not only, as I mentioned before, for support and for answering questions, but it's if you're sitting in your booth all day, right? And you're maybe not seeing your family as much. We're not seeing coworkers in the next cubicle. It's sort of lonely. And to have the community to meet with once a week or daily or whatever that frequency is important for our mental states. Because these people understand the struggles, they understand the lingo, they understand what you're talking about when you're venting about something or asking a question. So I think community is very, very important. But there are a lot of these communities out there, not only in Facebook groups, Discords. If you find somebody on YouTube or TikTok that has one of these group community type things and they do it for free, then heck yeah, sign up and do it, right? But I don't belong to a whole lot myself. I mean, I have my own, of course, and I love my community. But apart from that, I'm also in Anthony Pica's community. And I think there's another like mastermind group that I'm a part of where we meet weekly and just talk about, mastermind things. But other than that, I don't really belong to a whole lot of other communities. And not because any other reason other than my social battery is very, very small. It's hard for me to keep up with millions of different platforms, right? So that is why I don't belong to a bunch. But it's really up to you. If you can find something that's very low cost or free even, then I'd say that's a pretty good value. Leslie says, oh, I skipped the line. See, Sean, you threw me all off. I'm sorry, Leslie. I'll come back to you, I promise. I got to go back up to where I left off. Grant. Grant says, I'm very skeptical about online training. I usually like to follow the person on YouTube or LinkedIn to get a feel for them before I commit money for their classes. It's a very good tip. Yep, I do the same. You want to make sure this person is this person. I mean, unless you've been following this person on, YouTube or something like that for years, then you get a pretty good feel of who they are as a person. But if you are just seeing something new for the first time, definitely do your research. Look for them on all of the platforms and get a feel for who they are before you commit. For sure. Pamela McDonald says, waiting for my new Rode to arrive today. Good morning, all. Exciting. New gear day. New gear's always fun. Speech Hunter to Joya. What makes Reaper faster than Audition? It's because she's a Reaper master. Right, Pam? Or not Pam. It wasn't Pam that said that, was Joya. Sorry, Joya. I got Pam on the brain for some reason. Kevin says, once my settlement comes through, I'll be signing up for VO Academy. Nice. Voiceover Van Deen says, afternoon. Hope all are well. And I'm almost on time. I'm just glad that you're here. I always like it when you pop in and say hi and throw a frog at me. Good to see you. Shanta says, I want to know what gadgets I have to buy. Oh boy. That is a very loaded question. At the very high level, very high level, just as a side note, I hear on my channel, I have lots of videos about equipment and gear that I recommend. But at a very high level, you're going to need a computer with good processing power. You're going to need a DAW, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation, which is your recording software. You're going to need a microphone. You're going to need an interface, and you're going to need headphones, and you're going to need training. But gadgets, those are the gadgets that you're going to need at a very high level. I hope that helps. But there's a lot to choose from. Annie says, I've paid for a couple courses, one on Fiverr and one on audio editing, with the personal expectation that it would jumpstart my career. As you said, it certainly did not. And as we know, I don't even know if there's a better way to describe it better other than jumpstart. But I think with these courses that are very kind of high level like that and sort of basic, at least out of those, from my personal experience with these, is that at least you have a better understanding of what it is that you're working with. I wouldn't necessarily call it a jump start maybe, but you have a better understanding at the end of what it is that you paid to learn about, I would hope. But we can't really expect to take one course and then be winning Audis, right? Or be winning awards for stuff. Unless you're just truly naturally gifted, then that's something completely different. But, there's just so many buzzwords out there that, Kara says, happy Tuesday, Angela, in chat. Yes, Kara, I love your coffee goblet, by the way. I must know, where did you get this? She's this cool dragon mug. Array of Smiles, LLC. A pink waving hand. Hi, I don't have a pink waving hand for you in response, but I'll just hand wave. Kevin says, love that coffee mug. Yeah, me too. I love my kooky coffee mugs. I get a new one at the Halloween store every year, because I'm a nerd. And that's fine. Shanta says, and what will be the cost of the gadgets to start VoiceOver instantly? Well, again, there is no instant starting. There is a lot that's involved. There's a huge learning curve, as probably most of the chat will tell you. There's a huge learning curve in learning your DAW, how everything works together. There's a huge range in pricing. So a good place to start, I have recommended gear on my website, voiceoverangela.com. There's a tab called VO gear on some of the stuff that I've personally used or recommend and heard great things about to get you started. But there's a huge range of pricing points for these things. And just know that it will take time. This is not something you can do probably today or maybe even tomorrow. It takes learning and practice and training. Keegan says, how's everyone, eh? From Belinda in Canada. I'm doing great. I don't know about everybody else. I think everybody else is doing okay so far. Sounds like it anyway. Joya says to Speech Hunter, Reaper is non-destructive. Undo editing mistakes without re-recording. Audition does that too. Every editing trick is quick key. Waveforms are depicted in a way that can easily edit stutters, hiccups, etc. Audition can too. Again, it's preference. Jason says, learn the hard way once. Good morning. Good morning to you. Get to sit in on live for a chance, for a change, maybe. Hope you have a great week. You too, Jason. I'm glad you're here. Leslie says, good morning. I get recommendations from other peeps and check out their online training videos and blog, website, and personality style. Same. I do too. It's important for me to mesh. If I'm going to give you money, I want to be able to mesh with you. I want to be able to be real and open and honest with you, right? I want to be able to ask you questions and pick your brain about stuff. Sean Lester says, I ask the question, what does the course offer for the money that I can't discover from a YouTube video? What does the course... Oh, you ask that question of the people. Yes, that's a very good question to ask. So the course that you're looking to purchase on a particular subject, is there anything in this course that is not freely given in any of your information on YouTube or TikTok or any other social media platform? Great question. It's a great question, Sean. Joya says, the instructor promised information that wasn't given. Oh, the audio quality was poor considering he is a top-rated VO with an expensive academy. The whole course was just a copy of lives from years past. Well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Sunny. Hey, Sunny. Hi, Angela. I think one-on-one tailored coaching is worth it, assuming they are accomplished coaches with free YouTube content. Not sure about Boost Your XYZ courses, though. Yeah, I think it would, for me, it would really depend on what the XYZ was, you know. If it was something that I could not find any information on, because, you know, I've said it a million times, I hate spending money. And there's so much information available for free on YouTube. And it is worth it at times to get, especially if it's like one-on-one coaching. Because that, to me, one-on-one coaching versus a YouTube video, to be able to ask live questions and to get live feedback and to help them show me right now exactly what it is that I'm doing wrong or what it is that I need to learn. One-on-one coaching with someone, I think, is worth it. But if we're talking about maybe course videos, then that is when that question is really important. What can I learn? What can I learn from your course, your paid course, that isn't readily available, maybe through your content or elsewhere online? That's a great question. Yeah, and the verbiage, those buzzwords, right? It's sort of like a sales 101, right? I mean, some of you know I've been in the car business for, 20 years, so I can see a sales pitch coming a mile away. So some of those buzzwords and that verbiage used is really, it's like a call to action, those buzzwords. So as long as you're aware of them and you have a firm understanding of what it is that you're purchasing, right? And you have a clear expectation of what you're going to get out of it, and this trainer is in your mind's eye trustworthy and transparent, then it could be worth it. Daryl Hansen says, hi, Angela. Sorry, I don't do the morning coffee. I am ready to do a second demo reel. I am working on an audiobook demo. Good for you. Good for you. It's time for me to refresh my demos too. I got to do that. So if you don't do morning coffee, do you do morning tea? I've tried to switch from coffee to tea. Didn't take. Writer Dude. Good morning, Writer Dude. Came in a little bit late this morning. First program I came across wanted to sell an expensive training package. They also avoided audiobooks entirely. It was hard. It was a hard no for me. But keep in mind that not every voice artist does audiobooks, because as we know, audiobooks are a lot of work. It's a commitment. It's a marathon. Audiobooks are a lot of work, and not everybody does them. But if you're looking for, to your point, if you're looking for someone who can share with you everything, then I would expect that course would be very comprehensive and probably very expensive because that's a lot of content to cover, right? Unless, of course, you're working with someone one-on-one with someone who has experience with everything, then that might be worth it because then you could go straight to what it is that you need to know, right? Instead of having to buy a gigantic course and then just needing to find one or two particular things that you're looking for to need help on. Unless you plan on sit and, well, I guess if you're going to pay a lot of money for it, you're going to sit through all of it, right? But yeah, there's a lot of options out there. Daryl says, would like to know any suggestions if I should animate it. Like my first demo reel is I am more into developing characters for also run a puppet group. Oh, that's fun. You and my son would get along. He has a couple of those. Um, well, used to anyway, not so much anymore, but should animate my first demo reel. If you have a video demo reel, yes. Yes. But if it's just audio, then you could have both, right? You have the audio version and then a video version, especially if you're doing something like you said, characters, or if you're doing dubbing, or if there's something visual that is, that if you're syncing your voiceover to video or something like that, if it's something that needs to be visual. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding if your characters need to be animated. I just want to make sure I'm understanding your question. But I think if you're doing like cartoons or animation, anything like that, then I think not all of your characters need to be super over the top. It might be good in your demo to have a mix of, you know, your normal voice as a character and then maybe something a little bit more, gruff, like you're a war hero or something. And then you have like a villainess, and then you have something like some sort of fairy tale creature, maybe something way over the top, maybe like think puppet group. So if that's what you mean by animated, then yeah, have a good mix of different characters would probably be helpful. Sunny says, speaking of plugins, do you use a noise gate in your effect chain? They are tricky to set up properly, but they seem to work well. I used one for a long time through I have a DBX 286XS in here that I don't use anymore. I used it mainly for the preamp and then also for the noise gate because there is just noise that I haven't been able to locate in this room. So yes, I have used it, and finding the sweet spot for the noise gate was definitely trying. Definitely trying. It took a long, long time and a lot of help with even an audio engineer to try to find the sweet spot in using this noise gate. But ultimately what I discovered is that when I switched to my new interface, I just said, okay, I'm not going to use a noise gate anymore because it is audible. You can hear the shift, the gate opening and closing. You can hear it. And some clients have even heard it. And that is just mortifying, right? So I decided I'm going to get rid of the noise gate altogether and just use my equalizer, like a high pass filter, and just do my best to do with what I can through my DAW to try to eliminate noise. I've done everything that I already can in this room. I've moved every single noise source out of this room apart from the electrical panel that's right here. I can't move that. But sometimes it just is what it is. You just got to do your best with what you got. But noise gates can be tricky, very, very tricky to find the sweet spot for. Speech Hunter says, is there any downside to recording onto a portable recorder in a booth that doesn't have a computer, then importing the file into Audition at my desk computer for editing? The only time that I have used a portable recorder is when I was on vacation. Like I have one of those Zoom recorders, right? I'm doing this like I'm holding it. It's a handheld device that's got an XLR port on it, so you can plug in your XLR mic, and then there's an SD card in it. I think I know we're on the same page on this. There's an SD card that goes into it. You record into that, and you take the SD card, or you could read it directly into your laptop as like a portable interface. And then I don't see any trouble with that at all. But the only time I've ever used one is when I was mobile, like on vacation, and I needed to record something quickly. But I don't see any trouble in that. It might be more cost effective unless you already have this recorder. It might be more cost effective just to get a longer cable, right? To run from your booth to your computer outside, if that's what you're doing. That way you can record in your booth and it just goes automatically to your computer or workstation for editing. You know, just an idea if I'm understanding your question. Joya says, to Speech Hunter, I have a Zoom H5, and your answer is yes. There is issues in the transfer. After 5 chapter re-records, I broke down and started recording straight into my in my DAW. There are, again, 2 different ways that you can use the recorder. You can plug it directly in to your computer, or you can use an SD card, right, to transfer information. And you run that risk really with anything with an SD card, right? I mean, we had that issue the other day with a 3D printer, like the card, it was just corrupt or something. It just unformatted itself. These things happen with technology. It's always best to run directly wired with really anything to get nice, clean audio. Leslie says, Mark Cashman is great for technique, and he has a small group training. And if that is too expensive, you can audit the class and still get so much good info to use right away. I need to put my glasses on. Yes, anytime that you can just pop into a class, like a trial or an audit, that is awesome to get like a little taster of what is being offered, for sure. CD Williams says, hi, first time on a live. Well, welcome. Any advice for someone who is starting from the absolute beginning? I have the equipment, but I don't know where it's good to start looking for work. I would say if you have the equipment, make sure that your space is treated absolutely 100%. And there are tons of videos here on YouTube where people like myself and others will walk you through everything on what you need to look out for. But there's a lot to learn in the beginning. I would say be patient, give yourself time. Learning anything new is not typically something that you can start making money with right away. It does take a lot of practice, training, and learning, just like anything else. But there's a lot of good videos here on my channel where I talk about places where I started to find work. And, there's a lot of other people here on YouTube that will tell you the same information. But there's a lot to cover with that question. So I would say YouTube is a great place to start, just to kind of see what other people are saying and then make your own decisions on where you want to start. But there's a lot to cover in that question, CD, but I'm glad that you're here. I could spend a few hours talking about the answer to your question. Tangents. I tend to go off on tangents. John Serrano Voices says, just want to vouch for a VO's journey in Lead Academy. Joining was one of the best decisions I've made. Second to becoming a voice actor. Joining any sort of community is invaluable and a necessity. Yes, I would also echo that. I joined Anthony's VO Journey Elite Academy before it was an academy, like years and years and years ago. I joined Anthony's group probably about 4 or 5 years ago now. I forget. It's been a long time. And then I eventually coached for him in his academy for a while. And it was a lot of fun. And the community is large and it's mixed, in experiences. And I agree with you. Community is huge. Annie says, the more I learn, the less I think I want to pay for another pre-written or pre-recorded course. Live group sessions and one-on-one training are going to be my focus going forward. And I have to agree with you, Annie. I think after giving it a lot of thought and even just, talking with you guys today or chatting with you guys today, I think that is the better way to go. I think because, and I hate to say it, but I think most everything that you can find in a pre-recorded course is probably available online in some way, shape, or form, right? Unless it's very, very, very niche. And even then it's probably online somewhere, right? Yeah, I think that's the better way to go. Miss World Traveler says, thanks, Angela and Joya, for response. I use Audacity for now. I would like to learn Adobe and Reaper, but until I master either, Audacity for now. Hmm. That's kind of how I was. And then uh, I I was using Audacity, and then my partner audition here. I have it already. Why don't you hop in there and just see if you like it? And then it was like, Aladdin, a whole new world opened up. And I'm sure the same is, when you look at Reaper or anything else, because Audacity is great, but in retrospect, using Audition now after using Audacity, it's like there's so many more functions, and I can actually see a whole lot more in the waveform. You can see the mouth noise, you can see the breaths, you can see the dog barking next door, you can see all of that in the spectral. And it's disheartening, but it's good for editing. So you can see all of that stuff. Christine says, it's my first time here officially. Officially? Welcome, Christine. I have watched a few of your other lives and have learned a lot. Good. The problem is the more I learn, the more overwhelming it seems. Classic overthinker here. Oh, yes. It's easy to be an overthinker. I am also in the club of overthinkers, sometimes to a fault. And it is overwhelming. There is a lot to be done. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to research. There's a lot to practice. There's a huge learning curve, and not just the voiceover part itself, but then the business aspect, the marketing, the setting up the business, the invoicing, everything that goes along with having a business. There is a lot. There is a lot. And having a warm, welcoming hand to hold is a good thing, or a community of warm, welcoming hands, right? Is gold, 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 gold. Voiceover Vandy. No frog for you today. He's staying safely here with me, along with itchy eyes, sniffly nose, and grr lawnmower season. I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry, my friend. I have actually not quite completely banished the frog, but I have reduced the frog, and because of you guys, because you guys had recommended to use, plant-based coffee creamers instead of dairy. So thank you for that. See, community, gold. But it doesn't help with allergy season. Barbara says, hello, Angela. Hope all is well. Yes, ma'am. I have learned a lot, but have so much more to learn. I need to become my own audio engineer, LOL. Where can I start to learn the basics? Again, a loaded question. There is a lot to cover in just that question. There is basics is also a lot, because there is a lot to do in the beginning. There's the choosing of the equipment, there's the treating of your space, there's the choosing of the DAW, then there is the who do I get to help me in the training aspect, then there is where do I start with work. There is a lot in just the basics, unfortunately. But if you want to find a group to learn from, or just sit and binge watch YouTube videos to get a feel first before diving in, you could do that. That's what I did. But there is a lot to learn. There is a lot to learn, and I would just say start Googling or researching on YouTube. And if this is something that you want to, continue with or explore further, then that's when I would reach out to a group or a training academy, or a mentor or something to sort of point you in a good direction to start, right? Natural X Jasmine says, wish I could be on this live. You are on this live. You are. You're here. Currently in a team meeting. Oh, so you were here and you had to leave? I'm sorry. Just got my first large order on Fiverr, 86,000 words. Earnings 100 per finished hour. Please share tips for long form recording and editing. We'll replay. You guys, there's so much to cover in these questions. There's a couple of different ways to do long form recording. You can either do punch and roll or use the clicker method. But either way, I personally use the clicker method because there's sometimes multiple takes that I'll give something if I make a mistake or it just doesn't sound right in my head. I'll just click it and then re-record it and then come back and post while I'm editing and choose the best take, right? I find punch and roll and I don't get along very well. It's something that I haven't mastered. And I think clicking for me is just sort of ingrained at this point. And sometimes old dogs can't learn new tricks. Maybe I'm just not coordinated enough for it. I don't know. But with everything else, or like everything else, just practice, practice, practice and doing it, right? Just don't let little obstacles or little, I say little, but at the time they feel huge, right? They're like brick walls, but you can overcome almost anything, right? With a little bit of practice, patience, and learning, training, maybe reaching out for help from somebody. But for audiobooks, I would say watch a few YouTube videos. The ACX has their own academy here on YouTube. You can watch some of those videos. Get familiar with the standards that the audiobooks need to be in and make sure that you understand them and that you can reach them, right? You can effectively meet those standards. And that in itself could take a little bit of trial and error, some practice and training, right? So there's a lot to it. And I'm sorry that you're in a team meeting. Rather, you would be here with us. Kara says, I believe I got that mug from Amazon. Oh, okay. I'm heading over there after the meeting, after the live. Natural X Jasmine says, I'm only 5 months into my VO career, by the way. Well, welcome to the family. And I think usually by that time, I think for me, by that time, I had a few jobs under my belt, and there's still a lot to learn in your first year. There's a lot of hurdles to overcome in your first year, and I think that's just natural for anybody, right? You shouldn't expect to make a whole lot of money in voiceover or audiobook narration in your first year, because that first year is going to be filled with, learning new things and the training and learning the lingo and learning your DAW and, making a name for yourself. So there's a lot to do in that first year. But welcome. I'm not trying to discourage you. I'm just giving you facts. I'm just trying to be as open and honest as I can. But just keep going because all that work does pay off. It does if you keep with it. Janelle says, hi, Janelle. Hi, Angela and everyone. Although I'm usually hoping for the best with online training, I also do a little research on the instructor. Lucked out and found an awesome instructor and community with you. Oh, thank you, Janelle. You're part of that awesome community. So I appreciate you and your fantastic voice. CD Williams, I've wanted to do VO my whole life, but get really discouraged when I don't know how to start. So I never get anywhere. I do have the equipment I need at least. Yes, you are. Maybe not quite procrastinating learning stage, but I would say for you, CD, it sounds like you just need a community. You need a community. You need a community that is doing what you want to do and that is open, ready, and welcoming to you, right? To help get you past whatever this little roadblock is that you're at. Maybe it's confidence and a confidence issue. Maybe it's an equipment issue. Maybe it's just fear of doing something that you really want to do and then potentially failing at it. I think the only way to really truly fail is to give up on it, right? Because you can almost overcome almost anything. If it's a DAW issue, you can learn a way to get through it. If it's a performance issue, you can learn a new way to do it. Training, almost anything else you can overcome. But you yourself, your mindset is what's going to push you through. So I think for you, you need a VO community. You need a community that's going to hold you up, that's going to hold your hand and help you through whatever you need to get through and answer the questions that you have. So I say for you, I think that's what you need most right now. And then once your confidence is improved, then go get some training. Find a coach, find some one-on-one training, mentorship, right? I think that's where you need to be right now, CD, to help move you forward. You need some love and support. Kevin Harvey says, gotta run, doctor's appointment, catch you later. I hope everything goes well, Kevin. I'm glad you were here. BB Homebody says, good morning, Angela and everyone. I love Q&A day with you. Well, thank you for that. I love doing these. I love all the community that comes in here. We got 46 people in here. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. I appreciate the time. I know you could take time out of your day to sit here and stare at my face for an hour, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the time you guys take to type in responses to other people. They're really, really helpful, not only for me, but for everybody else watching. Leslie says, Angela has a wonderful community. Love my coaching sessions with her. Learning so much and can't say enough about how her encouragement is vanquishing the imposter syndrome. Cue karate chop. Yeah. My son would be so disappointed. He's in Taekwondo, so he'd want me to do Taekwondo punches, not karate chops. But thank you. I appreciate you. I like meeting with you too. I love meeting with everybody that I meet with. Everybody, and it's always so interesting that everybody's in a different place. Everybody's got a different recording space. Everyone has different equipment. As I've always said, there's so many variables, and I love problem solving too, I suppose, and kind of getting a pulse on where you're at and what we need to do to get you moving forward. And I'm very acutely aware of the imposter syndrome because he still comes and knocks on my door every once in a while too. And I think it's normal, it's natural, but I think the best way to overcome that is to kick that guy to the curb, is just to remind yourself, as we mentioned last week, I believe, remind yourself of how far you've come, what you've invested time-wise, money-wise, emotionally, time away from the sacrifices that you've made to get to where you are. And just push through. Your why for why you want to do this is going to be most important. Just hang on to that why, whatever it is. If it's to be at home with your family and to bring money in and make your own schedule, or just because you just love doing character voices, or you love recording audiobooks, whatever it is, whatever your why is, hold on to that tight and just keep pushing forward. Thank you, Leslie. Tess Stalker says, my best training was jumping in, starting with LibriVox and treat it like a paying gig. Mentality. You have to have the right mentality for it, right? I think tools and training or mentality is what we talked about last week, right? All important, but I think mentality, your mental state, right, your mindset rather, is what's going to pull you through. That's great. I've now completed one book with ACX and I've learned so much. I've also paid in past. That's great. One book with ACX so far. That's awesome. How long did you work with LibriVox? Just out of curiosity. Joya says, Miss Angela, I bought the lights you recommended on your site. My son has dog ears, told me they were emitting buzzing in my audio. Electrical panels emit tons of noise you don't hear until you record. Yes, ultimately, I think that is what my issue is in this room. I have an electrical panel right there in this little storage office space. So I'm fairly certain that's what it is. The lights I have behind me, these nano lights or the nano leaf lights, the bars, I think they're called lines, nano leaf lines, haven't caused any issues with noise for me, thankfully. So that's interesting. I haven't had anybody else tell me that they do that. So I'll have to see if anybody else says that. I didn't get any noise from the ones in here, but they may. I mean, they very well may, for sure. Daryl says, my question got split. I have an animation demo, working on an audiobook demo, want to concentrate on children's books. How much characterization or animation should I include in the reel? I gotcha. Okay, so if you're doing namely children's books or animation demos, then you want to have a wide variety of voices, right? Because if you're doing regular old nonfiction or fiction, non-children's books, there's still going to be a little bit of variety in voices, but not as much. You're going to be a little more over the top for children's books or animation, right? Because they're fantasy, right? They're keeping the attention of people in, 30-second attention span land. They're fun too, right? They're meant to be fun. So a nice range of variety of voices, I think, would be good for those, namely. I am Paximus. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Angela, I got here about 2 minutes ago, not in a meeting today, and I'm able to catch you live. I recently listened to The Count of Monte Cristo, and the narrator had a lot of breaths, but it was well executed and sounded great. I'm curious what you think about that when the narration world recording generally needs to be precise and treated with gating and compression, etc. Thoughts? I think to your point about listening to a narrator with a lot of breaths, I think what happens to us as fellow audiobook narrators, once we hear something that could be a potential negative, like we're always talking about breaths and to remove the breaths, reduce the breaths, right? Mouth noise or anything else that we hear that needs to be removed. It's like once you hear it, you can't unhear it. So then when we as audiobook narrators, knowing what we know, we go and listen to audiobooks ourselves, these things are probably going to grate on our nerves if we hear them a little bit more than they would just a casual everyday listener. Personal opinion. Because I myself have also listened to audiobooks that were fabulous, but the narrator breathed a lot. Like at the start of everything that he says started with a sharp intake of breath. And it kind of grated on my nerves, but I mean, that is his style. That's how it was recorded. And I still enjoyed the audiobook, but I think to me, it probably was a little more nerve wracking for me because I do what I do, I think, honestly. Right. But I think a lot of audiobooks, especially the ones with big publishing houses, are, they are edited by someone else, not the person doing the narration. There is an audio engineer that is involved. And a lot of times they're not even perfect. I mean, I've heard big books with like big name books, authors that have had retakes left in, someone taking a sip of water. Mistakes happen. It happened to everybody. But I don't think that they necessarily need to be precise because we're all human and ultimately we're just humans telling other humans a story. Right? So I don't think they need to be. I think a mistake or two or something that we catch that we deem as maybe not needing to be there or something that needs to be removed is just, it's all opinion, basically. So I don't know. I don't think they need to be precise. I mean, if they're precise or perfect, then what's to stop AI from taking those over if they need to be that way? I think being human and sounding human makes us human, right? Personal opinion. Sunny says to Joya, speaking of electricity, I've heard recommendation from a very experienced VOA and audio engineer to invest in a power conditioner. Basically filters out the noise caused by electricity. I myself have one in here. I have a Furman, and everything important is plugged into it. And it does. It seems to reduce, for you audiobook narrators, it reduces the noise in the room and going into your recordings. I agree wholeheartedly, Sunny. Joya says to Sunny, NS1 takes out most electrical noise. It does. Or if you have a parametric equalizer like I do on Adobe Audition, you can do enable a high pass filter. Or if your microphone has one, you can play with that a little bit. And that'll reduce the low end noise a little bit, which is typically what makes our noise floor. Or Clarity VX too. Leslie says the bleed in from 2 radio stations was so bad. 900 feet new tower was built. Oh no, 900 foot new tower was built. So a star quad mic cord and Furman conditioner was the fix. Yes, Leslie, you're in a tough spot, but you're getting it done. CD Williams says, thank you so much, Angela. You're welcome, CD. I hope to see you in our group. We put our big old voiceover warm arms around everybody and help as best we can. JCC AOL, good to see ya. Glad to be back. I had a terrible head cold and literally could not do anything, and I mean anything. Well, I'm glad that you're past it and over it, hopefully. Glad to see you're back and feeling better. Michael V says, I have a string of LED lights that I can't have on while I'm recording because there's a buzz in the audio. Yep. And I think, doesn't it have to do with also proximity to other electrical sources to kind of pick that up? Or how it's proximity to your mic even? Keegan says, I know that both Fiverr and ACX are different, but what would you say are the best and worst features of both? Interested in doing, but my other job makes responding quickly to Fiverr difficult. Completely agree. I have a few videos here on Fiverr and ACX. Again, there's a lot to cover in that question. But I myself started in that very position where I was at work for 10, 11 hours, including the driving time every day. And I was still able to, with the Fiverr app, to respond to people quickly. They allow you to make lightning responses or quick responses on Fiverr. So you can have a general response that says, hey, I am mobile, out of the office, however you want to phrase it. I will get back to you as soon as I can. That way your response rate doesn't suffer. Or if they just have an easy question to answer the question and move on, and then tell them that you are out of the office or you're mobile, and you'll get back to them as soon as you possibly can. Easy peasy. But ACX, they don't really time you or clock you on your response rate, so it's not as stringent or strict as Fiverr is. But I myself have done this very thing, working a full-time job and still able to respond and get the work done after work, right? After the kiddo goes to bed, homework is done, dinner is done. That's when I worked, sometimes weekends. So you can do it. It might take a little sacrifice on your end for a little while, but it will pay off if you keep with it in the end. Tess says, did one chapter with LibriVox, History of My Pets, because I was a newbie. But I'd like to return to LibriVox and complete a solo book in appreciation. I've gleaned so much from this group also. Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. So you did one chapter on LibriVox? And really, that's all it really takes, right? Is just a project or two to learn the formatting process and the narration process to feel a little bit more confident about knowing that you can do it. I think I only did maybe 3, maybe 4 little projects on LibriVox, if I remember correctly. But yeah, doing that in itself will do wonders for your confidence. Sunny says to Joy, yeah, but ideally you'd want to fix problems at the source versus software processing. Absolutely. Absolutely. Fix the root cause of the problem and or noise instead of putting a Band-Aid on it in post. I agree with you. Joya says to Sunny, I agree, but I can't move my breaker box any more than Miss Angela can. Word. Yep. I am Paxima says, thanks for your thoughts, Angela. Glad to see you and be here. Embrace the tangent and stuff. You are so funny. Kelsey, hey, Angela, just looking for some motivation and encouragement. Been going through unemployment and feeling very lost and stuck. VO equipment just broke, but I don't have the cash to replace it right now. I apologize. I would say hop into a Facebook group. Depending on what's broken, maybe something can be done to keep you continuing to move forward. I'm hoping we can help some way, somehow, Kelsey. I'm glad you're here, though, so we can hopefully help you pass this. Daryl says, thank you. You're welcome, Daryl. Kelsey, I'd love to hear a story if you've been through something similar and how you got through it. As far as stuff breaking, I have typically, it's a delicate balance between luck and right place, right time, I suppose, or wrong place, wrong time. But it wasn't until recently where I actually am in a place where I have a backup piece of equipment for everything. It took a long time to get there, and then it took a long time to realize that I should have backup things, right? But I mean, sometimes you have to just step outside of your comfort space and use that credit card to get something new, knowing that you can pay that off later once you start to get back on your feet. I mean, there's sometimes some things that you probably aren't super comfortable doing, but are necessary to keep you moving forward for your business, depending on where it is that you want to do. And I know things are super tough right now. I mean, there's nothing really easy right now in the world. So you just gotta have to make the best decisions that you can with what you have and where you're at. I mean, it's hard to detail, what to do in these kind of situations because everything is just there's so many variables. But I mean, there's going to be obstacles for everybody in any industry. And I think, again, it comes down to your mindset and how much you want to move forward and to think maybe outside the box. I mean, if the cash flow is an option, then consider doing a yard sale or selling stuff on Macari, to create a little bit of capital for yourself to overcome these things. I mean, human beings are incredible at problem solving, and we can think outside the box and make things happen if we need to, right? But there's a lot of difficult things, a lot of obstacles sometimes. And I'm trying to be vague because I'm not, they are so many variables. I can't get into, stop it, Angela. Okay, Keegan, thank you. I appreciate your advice. I'm overthinking. I'm a flight attendant, so tough to text back. Oh, I get it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, because you're up in the air where there might be a not any service, right? Or you can even have your phone on. Yeah, I get it. VoiceOver Van Deen sends interference can be picked up via RF, via airwaves, i.e., radio, capacitative, cables running in close proximity, and conductive comes in through the cables themselves, like electrically noisy power supply. Yes, I've discovered that the hard way. Look how much you learn about frequencies and vibrations and all of these new things that you never thought you would have to learn to be a voice artist or an audiobook narrator in creating a quiet space to record in. Joya says, I have horrid noise issues, but I'm determined to do this. And I will find fixes for everything else. Electrical issues are the least of my noise issues. Determination is king or queen. Yes, Joya. 100% agree with you. CD says, I just followed all of your socials, so you're not getting rid of me. I appreciate being welcomed into a safe space. Yes, that is definitely one thing that I have discovered about this industry as a whole, generally speaking. Most everybody within it is very welcoming and warm and supportive. And most everybody is very eager to help because we all start in that same place, right? So we can share how we overcome things and how we get through things. And we all understand being at the beginning. So we're all very ready to help and eager to help. So I appreciate that. You will find some people in this industry that say different things, let me just say. But I say take it all in, listen to what everybody has to say, because even in the people that are a little bit negative about things still have golden nuggets to share, right? So take in everything that everybody has to say, and then make your own decisions on what you want to implement or discard, right? Take what serves you, leave the rest, right? Make sense? Yeah. Oh, holy Moses, we got a couple of super chats. Hold on. Paximus. Stop it. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate you. Just thankful for you and the community you built. Enjoy a cup of Java on me. Cheers. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I appreciate you, Paximus. And then also a super chat from Gregory Forster. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you guys. So very kind. So very kind of you. Thank you. You guys are making me all emotional. Oh my God. Introvert is screaming right now. Where did I leave off? Okay. Thank you, guys. VoiceOver Van Deen says, introducing noise onto the mains, ferrites and power. Now you're just showing off. Ferrites and power conditioners help with the last one the most. Oh my God. We all need to become electricians to do this job. Gregory says, hello from Carrollton, Texas, outside of Dallas and not in the hospital. Good. Good. Glad to hear it. Kelsey says, my interface is making a weird buzzing noise in my recordings. It's low level, but I don't want to put out work that is crazy compressed or treated for noise, right? Totally get it. So to VoiceOver Van Deen's point, the source of the noise can come from many different places. So what you're going to have to do is just, go through each item in your room that is powered by electricity and test it with it on or off. I mean, obviously, if you can, and see if you can find the source of the noise. You also may find that having cables close together, like in a bundle, will cause noise. Being close to other power sources like electricity breaker panels and things of that nature are going to cause noise. Your computer itself that you're recording onto may have fans and things in it that make noise. So you might have to just systematically go through your room and try to discover where the noise is coming from. It could also be just something as simple, I have found from personal experience, as unplugging something and plugging something back in, that it's just not a good connection, right? So it could be a number of things, but systematically going through your office or your recording space to test out different things will hopefully help you find where the noise is coming from. Kelsey says, thanks, Angela. That's actually very helpful. Good. Just have to have faith that this is my path, so things will work out. Yes. Just got to keep moving forward. Just keep swimming, Kelsey. Just keep swimming. VoiceOver Van Deen says, sorry, slow mode is on. Just realize it split my reply. Yeah, I'm sorry about the slow mode and the need for subscribers only. But if you've been here for a while, you've seen that bots tend to come in if I don't employ these measures. So I apologize. But I appreciate you guys for dealing with me. Kelsey says, woot woot, DFW. Yes, Dallas, Fort Worth. Leslie, thanks for this discussion. Great think tank and advice. Yes, that is one thing that I love most about these weekly lives is the community that comes in and gives their opinions and advice. And it's not just about me. It's about all of us coming together and sharing our experiences and advice. And I love that. I love that. Christine says, do narrators and voiceover artists typically use pseudonyms or record under their own names? Both or either or? It really comes down to if you can't share your actual name for whatever reason, like just as an example, if you're a lawyer and you can't have anything else other than that, if there's something to do with you can't share your real name and you need a stage name or a pseudonym, that would be a time to do that. Or if some audiobook narrators who do spicy books, let's just say, use a pseudonym in that respect. I guess it also depends on the level of spicy, right? To use a pseudonym. So yes, we do. Yes, we do, depending on the situation. Paxima says, feel the feels and stuff. Yes. My introvert is just screaming right now, but I do appreciate it. One of those people that can't handle compliments in the spotlight, even though I'm in the spotlight currently right now, and you guys are all staring at me. I'm such an idiot. Michael V says, I think Paximus just likes the way you say his name. Probably. I am Paximus. By the way, he has a great TikTok channel under the same name. I am Paximus. Go check him out. He's awesome. C.D. Williams says, in order to help soundproof my room, my mom collecting about 30 of the drink carriers you get from like McDonald's to hang on my wall. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. But I think you could also use these. I don't have any visible behind me, but you could use those acoustic foam, right? They come in they're like squares and they have like little wedge shapes on them. There's tons of different patterns and colors of those that you could do. Or moving blankets, you can even find them used on OfferUp or Macari or, like that. But, shake them out before you hang them up, definitely. But anything that can make a thick, soft surface on your walls, because you want to reduce the echo, right? Because your voice is a vibration. When you speak, it bounces around the room. And you want to reduce the amount of bouncing. You want it to absorb, but not too much. But typically what we do is use moving blankets, acoustic foam. If you have the luxury of having a booth, like an actual booth, like a whisper room or a studio bricks or something like that, that's kind of built in. But if you're building your own, then you want to make sure that you insulate it properly to help with sound. But if you're just converting a room like I have in here and using it for voiceover, then, acoustic foam and moving blankets is what I used to reduce the echo. And a gigantic, like, gaming mouse. What is the word? It's like a mouse pad, but it's like a gigantic one for gaming. But what it does, it's like neoprene, right? And it covers my desk, so it reduces reflection. Holy Moses. I am Paximus says, slow mode is helpful to keep the community free from bots as much as possible. Yes. Unfortunately, it is a necessity. ASMR Gold says, hi, Angela. Well, hi. If you don't mind sharing, what projects are you working on currently? I just finished an e-learning module, actually 4 modules, lots of meditations currently. Lots of phone messages. I'm working on negotiating 2 audiobooks. So I've got a lot of things in the pipeline, but not necessarily like on the board as of right this minute. Voiceover Van Deen says, only 25 likes. Where's your cheerleader that normally requests that people hit the like when you need them? Well, I guess today that is you, Voiceover Van Deen, the cheerleader of today. Thank you so much. Hit that like button if you're watching this live, because you hitting the like tells YouTube that you find my information or my content useful or helpful, and will help to show my videos to other people that are looking for this information. Thank you, Voiceover Van Deen. I am Paximus says, haha, yes, Michael, yes, I do. I am Paximus. That one was for free. Just because. I like saying it. Kelsey, sound blankets and moving blankets work fantastic as the base. Yes, absolutely. Gregory says, on the last Thursday Zoom, I was half joking when I said I was a plug and play kind of artist with my radio show and voiceover stuff. Are you familiar with GarageBand and how to set proper settings? I know what GarageBand is. I have never personally used it. I have never personally used GarageBand, but I bet you there's a YouTube video on it. I bet you there is. Joya says, my hubby is talking about buying me a new house to reduce my noise floor. Men, LOL. That's a great idea. And I would love to have one myself. It's crazy trying to buy a house right now. But I'm looking forward to having an actual booth. I am Paximus says, holy Moses. New shirt idea. Michael V says, I'm going to go check his channel out right after this. Sweet. Test Stalker says, way to go, Voiceover Van Deen cheerleader. Yes. All right. Oh boy, I gotta run. Okay, this will be the last comment of the day, I think. Christine, I've been standing in my walk-in closet talking to myself, trying to figure out what I need to do to make it recording friendly. My dogs are pretty sure I've finally lost it. And then you add in the clicker method to record with as you're marking your mistakes with the dog clicker, and then your dogs will just definitely go nuts at that point because they're going to be scratching at your door looking for the treat. That's funny. VoiceOver Van Deen, test stalker. I wouldn't suit the uniform. Well, how do we know? I think you could rock that uniform. Why not? Why not? Right? All right, you guys, I think that's going to do it for today. I have got a meeting here coming up soon. I appreciate everybody being here. I will be here next week, same bat time, same bat channel. And I look forward to seeing you guys all then. See you guys all, you know what I mean? I need more coffee. All right, I'll see you guys next week. Bye.